Okay, so again, I'm about to share my screen. It'll be windowed. So if you want to move it out of the way, you can. If you want to resize it and do a side by side, you can. All right, so we'll get started with lesson 4, shapes and parameters. Alrighty, and challenge 1, we've got 2 rectangles. These rectangle blocks have 2 more parameters that you can use to control size. So before we were just dealing with the location. Now we're going to be able to adjust the width and the height. All right, so it says look at the code, try to figure out how the last 2 inputs work. All right, change the number to make the red rectangle longer than the blue one. Okay, so when we first start, blue is one length, red is the other. All right, if you hover over the rectangle parameters, first number is the X position, second number is the Y position, third number is the width, fourth number is the height. All right, so blue is at 200, red's currently at 150. I'm going to change that to 250, which will make red longer. All right, next we're going to manipulate a couple of ellipses. So when we start, we just have a green ellipse. It says write code that makes an orange ellipse behind the green one. And don't worry about the exact size as long as the green ellipse is entirely inside the orange one. All right, so first thing I want to do if I want to make something orange is I'm going to change the color before All right, so even though it wasn't a drop down option, I can type in orange. All right, and I'm going to leave the orange ellipse centered at 200, 200. All right, this one was 200 wide, 150 tall. I'm going to make this one about 300, this one about 250, so that the width is wider, the height is longer. Okay, now that looks right, but now I need the green one to appear inside of it, so I need to fix my order. So I'm going to move the green ellipse below. So they're both there. So because this one's smaller, to make it look like it's on top of the other one, I just call it less. All right, next we're going to look at possibly filling the entire screen with a color. So we do have a background code we can use. All right, so it says run the code to see it work. Change the background from yellow to orange. All right, so to make the background go from yellow to orange. All right, so I did that. Then there's a challenge. It says there's a purple square that is covered up by the background. Can you change the order of the code so you can see both the purple and blue? All right, I can. I'm going to put the background first so that it's the first thing and everything else is layered on top of it. Reset and run. All right, now both rectangles will show up. All right, level 4. Our background will draw on top of everything already in your drawing, so it's important to think about the order. So again, to make the background behind the green circle, we're going to put background first. There we go. If I were to put it last, it's going to cover up anything that was before it. So you always want your background to be first. All right. At level 5 on lesson 4, this program uses the 4-parameter version of rectangle and ellipse to draw a simple scene. All right, so our scene doesn't look nice and neat like it should, so it says debug this program and correct the error so that the grass extends across the bottom All right, hint, you only have to change one number. Which parameter makes your rectangle wider? Or well, if I go hover over a rectangle, it's that third number. That's the W for width. So I'm going to change that from 200 to 400, right, which is the length. So X goes from 0 to 400. So I'm changing that to 400. Okay. And we've got that fixed. All right, next, we've got some activities to go through. So some debugging and then to finish the scene. So we'll start with A. All right, so the code below should be making a pretty picture, but right now only one ellipse is showing up. So I should have red, then orange, and yellow, and so on. All right, so I want to debug it. So I want to assume that all of these ellipse measurements go with the color above it. So I'm going to move red to the top. So I've got a red fill and then the 200, 200, 400, 400 ellipse. All right, and that was it. So I just need to move that first one that was covering everything from last to first. Another way I could look at that one is assuming the measurements go with the color above. I've got red, then I've got orange, then I've got yellow, then green, blue, indigo, and violet. Also looking at the size of each one, they should be getting smaller each time. All right, for missing shapes. All right, when the code below is run, nothing shows up. All right, so let's see if we can figure out what's going on. All right, so it looks like for all of these, the X coordinate is at 500, which doesn't exist. So I'm going to change each one of those to 0 for a second. And that gets them showing up. All right, but I want to move them a little bit. So let's maybe make them increase by 25 each time. Alrighty, so again, I could probably play around with this a little bit more. So the big black one, 300, 300. So it looks like I want to move them over a little bit too. I'm going to start 25. I'm going to increase the Y value by 25 each time. Alrighty. So if I wanted to spend more time, I'd go back and probably really look at the layers a little bit better and play around with it. So I do have an image showing up. So if I wanted to move it more, I could probably slide things at a little bit different scale. Uh, so if anybody has a question on that one, I'll go back through and kind of post a a separate one on getting that one exact, but to save time. But basically, you just keep playing with the X and Y coordinates until you could get it to move a little bit better. So. All right, next one, completing the scene. So this one, again, you could do a lot of different things. Um, so looks like I've got what possibly could be a door to a house, a tree. So there's a lot of different things you could do to complete the scene. Um, one thing I could add a sun. So if I want to do that, get yellow, put an ellipse at about, let's get about 350, 50. I'll make it a little bit smaller. We got a sun there. If I want to put some windows here, I could do about 150, 185. I got a window there. I could do another one. I can actually copy and paste and just move it over. Another one. Keep going with that process and add some windows. So another thing you can do is copy and paste your code as you go. Um, I can then copy those and just change the height for the next level to, let's do about 220. That'll give me another level if I want to do more. Alrighty, and then 15. And let's do a red door. Just a 10. A little bit of trial and error. It's added some stuff there, so hopefully you all did some different things. Alrighty, now we've got an assessment. So we need to fix the cloud here. So basically, the cloud looks like it needs to be rotated. We can't really rotate yet, but what we can do is swap the width and the height. So instead of 100, 200, let's make that 200. 100 cloud. Also, just something that's important as you go, these little gray boxes are comments that you put in code as you work on it so that um, if you go back to it later, you can easily identify chunks of code and what it does, or if somebody else is collaborating with you, they can see what you're intending to do. All right. So we just changed that. It made it easy because I could find the cloud easily because of that comment draw cloud and realized the width and height needed to be flip flopped. Alrighty, the shapes and parameters challenges. So it says check out one or more of these extra blocks that you can use to make your pictures more interesting. We'll go through, all right, see how many of these we'll do. All right, so start with I've got the triangle, the square. I'm looking for a pentagon, a hexagon. So what's happening is I've got some set in place. I'm just going up one each time. So I'm going to try to fill in this pattern. But basically, what we're learning is the regular polygon block can allow you to draw any type of polygon. You just need to enter the. So if you look at the parameters with this one, you've got the x location, the y location, the sides, and then the size. Okay, and the size is going to be based on kind of from the center out. So it looks like what's happening is my top level is a height y position of 75. The second level is a y position of 175. The third level is a y position of 275. And then for my x position, it looks like I'm going up 100 each time from 50. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag in a regular polygon. All right, and it kind of built on that. So I'm going to go 200. Actually, I'm going to go 250. 75. All right, and what I should see is a pentagon appear right here. All right, so that worked. So I'll do another one. So then I kind of figure out the pattern, and then I can keep going from there. So I need a 8. I'm gonna go in and fix it later. I need a 9. I need a 10. All right, so this 7. So this one's gonna be 50, 150, 250, 350, 75. I guess my second row. Then I need to finish with the third row. So I've got 4. And then we have it finished. Again, that one was kind of all about finding the pattern. You start with a triangle, which is a 3-sided polygon. I'm curious, anybody know what the name is for a 14-sided polygon? I do not. I was wondering if somebody else did. But anyway, just kind of find the pattern of X position, Y position. All right, they're all size 50. So it's just a matter of getting that pattern for that first row. Then your X positions go up 100 each time from 50 to 350. And then the Y positions for the different rows are 75, 175, 275. So these were kind of predictable patterns. This just went up one each time. The size was 50 for all of them. Alrighty, this one you can also draw a shape. any size you want. So we do have some triangles. So this one, we've got the blue, we've got the red, we want a green and a yellow. So I'm just going to look at what we have there to start with. So for just shape, we've got an X1, a Y1, X2, Y2, X3. So it can keep going to as many sides as you want. So whereas the polygon, it's going to have a particular size and all sides will be the same length, so to speak. This one you can change it so that different sides could have different length or different starting points, and then you can connect them. So what I'm noticing with the red and blue, all right, they both have an X1, Y1 at 200, 200. So they're both starting here. And I'm just going to look at the pattern. Okay. Red then has a 0, 400. All right, well, if I go to 0, 400, that would be down here. And then it has a 400, 400. So I'm going to draw a green next. So I'm going to, I got a green fill and then a shape. All right, so I know I want it to start at 200, 200. All right, and then I need it to go up here, which would be a 0, 0. And then I need it to go here, which would be a 0, 400. All right. So I'm using coordinates for X and Y. So I'm going to reset, see if that works. Okay. I need a yellow. Let me draw. So again, I'll need a 200, 200. I need a 400, 0. And I need a 400, 400. So basically with that shape command, you put the points and then it'll draw lines and fill in the shape that it connects. Alrighty, this one, you can actually draw lines. Alright, so use the line block to finish the code so it matches the picture. So even though this looks like it's curved lines, it's all actually just straight lines. There's just a pattern to it. Alright, so right now we basically have one side. If you look at the lines, it's really just starting from 0, straight line down, straight line down. It gives it the effect of being curled. So really what I need to do to kind of fix that would be I could look at inverting it. So if I look at, instead of starting at 0, 50, if I look at these, it's starting here. So I'm going to copy that first one that looks like it starts at the same. Can't find the pattern. So that one starts at 0, 0, and then it looks like it goes to 450. So basically what I think I'm going to be able to do is just invert the number. So I'm going to try the second one. I'm also going to enter a comment to help. I'm going to do 50. Zoom. Track it as I go. So I'm now going to copy 3 through 8 and just go through and flip x1, y1, x2, y2. I'm going to x2, and that'll be a little bit quicker. Again, basically what we did was we just inverted x1, y1, and then inverted x2, y2. All right, draw and get the image. Next one we have are arcs. All right, so arcs work like an ellipse. They have 2 extra parameters. They specify 2 different angles that are used to create the arc. All right, so some information about this. Mm, all right, so not a lot to do with this one, just kind of playing around with it. But so 0 degrees. So if we look at the arc, that's a start position, a stop position. So basically, if we say 0 degrees is to the right. So if we want to draw, let's go ahead and drag one out. So x, y. So we want to be at 350, 200. The width and height is 100, 100. And then let's start at 60 and at 270. So if we start at 0 and at 270, it's almost a full one. Just kind of even play around with it and see how it draws different forms. But anyway, just nothing really to do, just play around with it. All right, and then this one I'm not going to do, but you kind of had a chance then once you played around with some different things, you could create one of these scenes. So You could use one of these. You could have done your own. But basically, with this one, they're using a bunch of different shapes. Got the octagon, rectangle, rectangle, circle, circle. Got some interestingly shaped polygons there. Uh, the pizza one is probably one of the easiest. A couple of arcs, a triangle, some circles. So that one you could have done on your own in a creative way. All right, I'm going to stop that recording